But I'll start with you, Marcellus.
Yes.
Is Andy Reid the right coach for Patrick Mahomes?
I am Mark Schlereth also. You are crazy. One, the circumstances are not the same, obviously. No 3 Super Bowl appearances, to blow the air into that balloon of expectations, to have the letdown of an 8-8 season, and then the firing. That's not what you're seeing right here. What you're seeing right here is Andy Reid, who actually addressed his weaknesses this offseason in terms of the defense, and a defense that's playing better, asterisk. They were horrible last year, and they're playing slightly better than that. That said, the team construction, if you want to talk about that, is on Brett Veach, the GM, who's been with Andy Reid since 2004.
Answers to Andy Reid.
You're right.
Yeah.
Damn it, you did your homework too. Okay, but
this is my team.
But at the same time, they addressed it. They spent money over there, and the defensive coordinator in Spagnuolo. So they've addressed that issue and have seen improvement. But if you look at this team right now, it's not fully mature. It's not fully realized. And even offensively, because of the injuries, Tyreek Hill, let's talk about Sammy Watkins, and the one ankle injury that is happening with Patrick Mahomes. All that adds up to a team that is still on the rise, even though they were one player away from being in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's 100% the right coach for Patrick Mahomes. When you look at it, Patrick Mahomes, when he came into the league, nobody thought he would do this. And part of that is because he has Andy Reid as a coach. He's innovative. He's smart. He's going to put him in good situations. Now, where I will agree with you slightly is this. They don't need Sammy Watkins. And Sammy Watkins is on a pretty good contract. They don't need Sammy Watkins. He rarely is he healthy, and he helps you 3-4 times a year because he's hurt so much. And so if they could get rid of Sammy Watkins and allocate that money to the defensive side of the ball, then that would help.
This is why you're crazy, right? Like, the best thing you can tell your kids, is,
We want it all?
No, I believe in you. That's the best thing you can tell. I believe in you, and I am here to support you. Here's a team, a franchise, a coach that fell in love with Patrick Mahomes out of Texas Tech and moved from, 24, 25, 26, up to 10 to say, I believe in you. I believe in you so much, I'm going to let you tutor under Alex Smith, and then I'm going to give you the opportunity to run this offense, and you're going to throw 50 touchdowns and be an MVP and go to the AFC Championship game and lose to the New England Patriots, who happen to be that New England is Hogwarts, okay? That's what New England is because they're magic over there. What they do, the formula they have, the secret sauce they have, I'm sorry, but they're that good. You went to an AFC Championship game with Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid is absolutely the right coach.
In his first year as a starter.
Right.
That's unheard of.
And he's an innovator. He's an innovator. He's a really good football coach.
He's an excellent football coach. Dan Reeves and John Elway went to 3 Super Bowls. Not AFC championships, 3 Super Bowls. And Pat Bowlen figured out, you know what, this isn't good enough. And I need something different and better to max out John Elway. And again, I'm not saying but if we get to the end of this season and this defense remains a problem, I'm sorry. I can't sit around and blame Spagnuolo and whoever the defensive coordinator is. I got a head coach that doesn't really care about defense, sits on the bench and talks to his quarterback while the defense is on the field. They have 2 bad inside linebackers. That's on Veach and
Spagnuolo?
and Andy Reid for one signing Hitchens away from the Cowboys and giving them all that money. Look, I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm just saying 21 years. Look at the other coaches that have been this long that haven't won it. When you're a Super Bowl winning coach, you normally grab it within the first decade.
Well, not all of them. If you really want to talk about that, you can look at the situation in totality. It's not about the defense with this team. It's truly about the running game. And what changed the fortunes for John Elway? The running game. Terrell Davis, right? What changes the fortunes for this team? As much as we focus on defense, last year this team was averaging 115 yards per game. Kareem Hunt. All of a sudden it goes down to 82 rush yards a game. You want to see the impact he's had? 74 yards a game last year was the leading rusher in Kareem Hunt. This year is 43 in LaShawn McCoy. They need to fix their running game to give them the time of possession that is being robbed from them, especially the last 2 weeks. The Colts went out there and ran it down the throat. And then that became the game plan, and you saw that being executed from that point forward. They need to get a balanced attack. I understand the defense will help them out tremendously, but what saved the Denver Broncos, my favorite team growing up, was a running back, and the same thing can happen here.
Well, it's interesting that you bring it up, and TJ would be great to speak on this. One of the things that they're facing here the last couple of weeks is they're facing 8-man boxes, press man coverage. Guys are up in the face of the wide receivers. They're disrupting routes. They're disrupting timing.
And that's happening because
Right.
Sammy Watkins is hurt, and Tyreek Hill hasn't been able to. You're not going to play Tyreek Hill like that. He's small, short in stature, but he plays big. And so when I say you don't need Sammy Watkins, it's not to discredit him. You can allocate that money to the defensive side of the ball. When you have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, you really need 2 pass catchers on offense that can really threaten you. And those 2 guys can threaten you down the field, more so Travis Kelce in the middle and Tyreek Hill over the top. But now that you have Mecole Hardman on a rookie contract, you got 2 guys, short in stature, but can really get down the field. And so Sammy Watkins is making a lot of money. They can allocate that to the defensive side of the ball.
They spent the money. Frank Clark got paid. Honey Badger got paid. Bashar Breeland's over there, new defensive coordinator. Like, the resources have been allocated. What they don't have is the blessing of health.
So are they paying defensively the right guys?
Well,
that could be the problem.
They got to have something in the middle of that defense at linebacker.
Yeah.
There's a problem. Chris Jones is hurt. That's obviously a problem on their defensive line. Let me ask this, and I'll throw a bit of a curveball here. I've been down on the Chiefs the last 3 weeks. Tonight, I absolutely love the Chiefs. I think they win big here against the Broncos. Any chance the Chiefs are, I think, minus 3 points according to Fox Bet. Any chance the Broncos pull this upset?
Yeah, there's a chance. It's certainly going to be a fight. I think a dogfight. The Broncos of late, you see the pass rush picking up. It's, despite Von Miller off to a slower start, was it 12 sacks the last 3 games, 0 sacks first 3 weeks? We saw him beat the Chargers, saw him beat the Titans, shut them out. They're starting to feel themselves in the division where they say, hey, it's winnable. This is a situation where we could go out there and make some hay. So it's one of those games, as Coach said, go get the steak, go get the ice cubes, bro. You're going to know you've been in the fight.
Yeah, there's no question. I think the Broncos win this game. I mean, you look at the defense.
So Andy Reid's going to lose 3 in a row, but you got no problem with him. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with it. They got 5 starters out. That's 23% of your roster is not playing tonight. On a Thursday night, short week, health,
you get
and you got to travel.
Joe Flacco versus Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs win
Joe
tonight.
Joe Flacco is playing good football, and it's not about Joe Flacco. It's about running the ball, setting up your play action, but it's about your defense. And what they've done on the defensive side of the ball, they have made some significant changes. Mike Purcell playing nose guard is playing really well for them. That let them move Shelby Harris out where he's naturally a defensive end. They've got Alexander Johnson playing the middle linebacker now. He's been outstanding. And their defensive backs now are pressing. They're starting to play, even though they play a ton of zone. They're pressing. They're challenging people at the line of scrimmage. This is a different defense than the defense that gave up 4 losses in the first 4 weeks.
To your point, they have held the other team scoreless for 9 consecutive quarters.
Well, that's going to end in the first quarter.
Oh, really?
It's going to. I will say, it's a division game. When you play your divisional opponent, it's always going to be a tough game just because you know each other so well. Yeah. Denver, they're good on defense. If you look at the record, they got jobbed against Chicago. So they should be 2-4. They really could be 3-3. They lost a close one to Jacksonville. So Denver has lost some really tough games. With that being said, you can't really press Tyreek Hill. He's too quick and he's too fast. He has both going. Like, DBs know. I can press a guy when he's fast, or I got to be careful when he's quick. Tyreek Hill got both.
Yeah.
So you press him, start the fight song, it's touchdown. And they know that. They're going to keep somebody over the top.
They have to keep somebody over the top. If they're going to press and try to disrupt, they got to have somebody over the top.
He's too dynamic. Right. It will be a pretty good game, but I'm with you. I don't see how Andy Reid loses 3 games in a row, especially with Denver. Denver's offense can barely score points.
Well,
they can barely score points.
You don't lose all 3 games in a row. You're losing 1 at a time. It's a little bit different. It's the same result.
But when you're in that locker room and you lost 3 in a row, you like, man, we done lost 3 in a row.
Right, but you are going against the 4th best defense, and you're without your starting offensive tackles.
You guys tell me
it
again.
Can happen.
Hey, tell me again what it's like to lose 3 games in a row in the locker room. I've never been there.
Don't do this. Don't do this.
I ain't never
been there.
I ain't never been there before.
That's the old NFL. That's the old NFL. We played in parity with real talent. Y'all played back then with lopsided. You know what I'm saying? It was easy to dominate.
No, on a serious note, and I think TJ makes the point and Stink, I know you know this. The Broncos kick too many field goals. Their offense moves between the 20s.
Yeah.
And if you start
that part is
kicking
100% true.
you start kicking field goals, you're going to lose.
Right.
This is a desperate Kansas City team. Andy Reid, that team wants no parts of losing 3 straight. And then all of a sudden, the Raiders look halfway legitimate. Yeah. I think both teams are going to be desperate, but one team has Patrick Mahomes. That's coming off a bad game where they didn't score enough points. The Chiefs are going to score points tonight. I just don't see any. I don't see any way Denver does this.
Well, I mean, I totally understand it, and that may be true. I mean, they've got to be able to run the ball. They got to be the issue that they have in the red zone is they don't control the seams. They don't have anybody like you get in the red zone. Denver. You get in the red zone, to me, you got to be able to run it. You got to be able to control the seams. You got to be able to throw it in the seams. And they don't have a tight end or a third wide receiver that scares anybody there. And that's been their big issue as far as scoring. Then you got to have great command and touch on the outside, and you have to be able to beat one-on-one out there. And if you control the middle, you can do that. But if you don't control the middle, that's a really hard thing to do.
Primetime game, the stars show up. You talk about Patrick Mahomes, despite his limitations with the ankle. But Von Miller off to his slowest start he'd ever had in his career. But it's a primetime game. What a game to go out there and make up a difference against a team missing both of their tackles. Don't put money on this one, Whit. Come back.
Oh, the money's already spent. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.